Hello, and welcome back to lesson 1.2. We are going to go over a few definitions and then a good example of variables and types of data. So we're going to look at two types of data this semester. One is, sorry about that. One is qualitative data and the other is quantitative data. And we're going to be talking about these two distinct types of data until the very last day of class. So it's important that you're really building an understanding of what the difference between the two. Qualitative variables are variables that have distinct categories according to some characteristic or attribute, such as your eye color. The categories would be brown, blue, green, hazel. Quantitative data. So quantitative data is, these are variables that can be counted or measured. And we're going to break those into two groups. So the counted are going to be the quantitative discrete. So variables that have to be whole. So you can't have a part of them. So that would be a phone. I have to have a whole phone. I can't have half of a phone. Or a pet, my dog. I have to have a whole dog. I can't have part of a dog. And then any variable that can be measured is going to be considered quantitative continuous. So time is usually something that's measured. And then let's go ahead to example 1 here and just go over differences. So we're going to go over these and we're going to decide if they're qualitative or quantitative. If it's quantitative, decide whether it's discrete or continuous. So I'm going to do an L for qualitative, and then I'm going to do a quantitative D, QD for discrete, and QC for continuous. So how many social media apps do you have on your phone? So you can't have, it's countable. You can't have part of an app. So that is going to be quantitative discrete. Is GOCC the only college you've attended? That's a yes or no question. So that's going to be qualitative. How many total credits are you enrolled in this semester? So you could have I think there might be a possibility of having a half credit, but it's either a whole credit or a half credit. Um, I think we only offer all whole credits. So either way, we would call that quantitative discrete. In what year were you born? Time is measured. So we would normally say that's quantitative continuous because I'm asking for this certain particular year. Years are counted. So we would call this quantitative discrete. How many siblings do you have? That is counted because you can't have half of a sibling. We're not talking about step siblings. And how many languages can you say thank you? Again, that would be quantitative discrete. That is a countable variable. Do you live in St. Joe County? That's a yes or no. That's a qualitative. Would you rather live in a big city or out in the countryside? That is categories, so that is qualitative. Have you traveled outside of the United States of America? That is also qualitative. That's a yes or no. What is your favorite fruit? Is qualitative. How many pets do you have? Is going to be quantitative discrete. They're countable. What is your favorite state to travel to? That is going to be qualitative. And do you prefer to listen to rap or country music? That is going to be qualitative. And I didn't add any on here. You're going to see in your very first project, I give you a similar type of question. There are different variables than these, and there's definitely different qualitative, quantitative, and quantitative continuous. Another quantitative continuous might be how long a particular song is. That's something that's measured. Quantitative continuous might be how many square feet of carpet needed for a bedroom. That's something that's measurable. And we would say maybe measuring the length of the song in minutes. So you have the unit there. So here are some good examples for types of variables. Catch me back for another video.